Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Keertana. I'm going to start with a general question. What goes into writing a song? And to answer that question, we can ask another one. Oop. What is a song comprised of? I think we can break down any song into five basic components. We have rhythm, melody, harmony, lyrics, and structure. And for the sake of this project, we're going to ignore rhythm for now, but we're left with these four. I think lyrics and structure can go hand in hand. When you write a song, you can organize the lyrics into verses, a chorus, a bridge, and all of those parts combined help create the structure of the song. We're actually going to see this in action now with the help of ChatGPT. So we're going to ask it to write us a short song about traveling to New Zealand and forgetting our worries. And so while that is running, I think it's safe to say that lyrics and structure can be grouped together. And so we're left with melody and harmony, or in other words, chords. And you might think that you can come up with the melody or the tune of a song without knowing the harmony. And technically, you're not wrong. But in order to create a song that evokes a certain mood or feeling, you're going to want to come up with the scales and chords first and use that as the basis for your melody. Now, as a songwriter, I can write the lyrics to my own songs or have ChatGPT do it for me. But where I get stuck are the chords. Because how do I translate the emotion from my lyrics into actual chord movements? I can always write the lyrics that say traveling to New Zealand or forgetting all my worries. But how do I actually know which chords and progressions will elevate the lyrics or even let the music speak for itself without the help of the words? So the problem, independent musicians waste countless hours, sometimes between 10 to 20 hours, figuring out the chords to each of their songs. The current approach takes time. You can go in blind and try out random chords which may or may not work. You could also sift through YouTube tutorials or music theory books, but again, that can take hours to find even one relevant example. Because finding chords that fit your mood and are unique takes time and music theory knowledge that you might not have. And maybe you don't have the time, but you could always hire a music producer to do the work for you. But producers are expensive and they can range anywhere from $50 to over $200 an hour. And since you're not learning as you go through the process with the producer, you may end up stuck in the same spot the next time you try and write a song. You'll cycle through the same three or four progressions you already know, resulting in very generic sounding music. So that brings us to the end result. Without hours to learn, or existing music theory knowledge, or expensive mentorship, you're just stuck guessing, and in the end, your song suffers. You end up with a song that just doesn't quite feel right, and what should have been a fun process left you feeling frustrated, and in turn, you might not even finish the song and abandon the project entirely. So the solution, MUSEic, the AI tool that takes your lyrical and turns it into a miracle. So let's actually see the tool in action. So we are going to copy this song and then head over to MUSEic. Um, cool. So this is MUSEic. We start off with this form here with three inputs. We can enter a description, lyrics here, reference artist, and we can choose our preferred key. Mine is A, and we can start generating the chord progressions. Now, as that is working, let's talk about how MUSEic works. So as we just saw, we have our three inputs. We take that, run it through our tool, which I'll go into more detail later, and then we get a three-pronged result. We get recommended chord progressions, personalized music theory knowledge and analysis, and a progression playground where you can actually play around with the chords to see which ones you like. If you want a more detailed view, there's also a mermaid diagram linked. So what makes MUSEic work? The lyrical analysis is probably the key feature that makes the app work the way it does. Your lyrics tell a story, and our agent is able to detect the mood, genre, energy levels throughout the song, and then understand the emotional arc. And using the song structure, we can recommend specific chords for different sections. And this already somewhat personalized synthesis is enhanced by the progression database, where we search through over 250 chord progressions to find the top six that match your song. Then we add on music theory knowledge to help those recommendation options, to those recommended options. And this agent doesn't just retrieve theory, but it helps contextualize the why, when, and how to use the suggested chords. And you immediately get personalized and educational context that explains why specific progressions fit your unique song. This is a quick chart of how we store data, but I won't go into it. We'll actually go back to our app and we can kind of see it in action. So this is our lyrical analysis. The overall analysis, you can see the mood, the energy, the genre, kind of like I said, and the emotional arc. So journey from introspection to tranquility and self-acceptance, which is pretty much in line with the ChatGPT prompt that I gave. We can also see the song structure here, how it's broken up into the different parts of the song, the different verses, what each mood for each verse is, the intensity as well. The emotional peaks here, where we can see what it thinks we should highlight in the song. So here it's, and with each mile, I'm forgetting everything I thought I couldn't lose, and a place where worries melt away and I remember who I am. And so those are pretty intense lines, I would agree. And we get section specific chords, but actually down here is the more detailed analysis. So here we have our 6 options. So all of these are transposed into my key of A, and we can see the different moods, genres, popularity as well, and even different songs or famous songs that use these progressions, as well as the why. And so we can kind of go through these, and this is pretty useful, but there's still kind of a lot, and I don't know how it works. So if we come here, we can actually play it, which I realized I forgot to hook to my music, but I will try to increase my volume. So you can play the music, you can play around with different options as well.
I think you should reshare with sound.
All right, I will be right back. All right, we're back. Cool. Is this better? Okay, perfect. So this is option 4, I think. We can go back to option 2 and kind of play around with that, how that sounds. And yeah, I agree. These are all very different. They all evoke different moods. And we can kind of see the actual music theory analysis behind each progression. Why does it work? How does it work? How to use it in your song, as well as the emotional impact. And again, that's still, it's super informative, very educational, but I'm still kind of stuck because there's still 6 options and I don't know which to use and when to use which one. So here we have the quick recommendation, which actually tells you which progressions to start with and where to use them. So we start with option 3. This is like a quick chart to compare the top 3, but then this is when to use each progression. So we have 2 or 3 are ideal for the verses. So let's start with 3 because that was mentioned first. And then choruses, it seems like option 1 is the best, and 4 for the bridge. And then also tips for combining or mixing progressions as well. Cool. So that was music. So why do we need a new tool? So online databases, or like there are existing tools in the market that address some of the issues we covered, but these tools either focus on analyzing existing songs or AI tools generate full songs but don't address the creative or learning process. And most importantly, no current tool combines the lyrical analysis with the chord recommendation. And obviously, we could ask ChatGPT like we did with the lyrics, but for larger, more involved process, such as what music does, the responses would be too generic and just wouldn't make sense for your song. But yeah, that was music. I hope you enjoyed. If you think you can use it or want to learn more about the songwriting process as you go, please reach out. And yeah, thank you. Cool.